at the same time. So, just the best advice is don't turn your cell phone on in the car.
Yeah, and I know some of you guys are glued to it because, well, maybe you're in professions where you have to be glued to it, but there's other ways to make it work. Now, here's the other thing, because I know before people used to have earpieces more, and then they weren't wearing them so often because of, what's up, radiation.
They're worried about that.
Yeah, because remember, there's been studies. What's the latest studies that they're saying? Let's see.
Well, part of it is it's too soon to actually tell. Like in about a decade, people could end up with cancer of the ear because this is producing it, and they won't really know because the studies are too new. But they got suspicions.
They've got suspicions. So, as you can see, I have mine on a lanyard, so I don't keep it on my ear all the time because it does start to bother my ear. This helps me to keep track of it. I also have one for my cell phone because they're easier to find like this.
Well, yeah. Well, okay.
Well,
no.
Other people may have theirs in pockets.
See, we buy these by the box load, folks. 144 in a box.
No, we don't.
We don't?
But I do have multiple earpieces for when one's charging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, to reduce your exposure to cell phones, radio frequency emissions, one is don't wear it as often.
Gee, that's... that study cost $1 million a day to do that one, I bet.
Hey, actually, it wasn't even in there.
Yeah.
I added that one.
Oh, it's probably there.
It says use cell phones for shorter conversations or when a conventional phone is not available. Well, most people just use their cell phones.
They don't use... Okay. Do you see many conventional phones anymore? They got... The phones are hooked to their computers.
Switch to a type of cell phone with a hands-free device that will place more distance between the antenna and the user.
That's the...
What's the overhead in the car?
That's also your Nextcom.
That is the Nextcom.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's NXT.
Right. That's It's a good device, folks. It also doubles as a speaker for your systems too.
Your conference phones. It works out really well. Let's see. Placing a phone next to the head exposes the brain to this radiation, although it's not known if this low level is harmful.
How long have you been using a cell phone?
Okay, for quite a few years.
Uh-oh.
When I bought a cell phone, it was over $1,000 for the cell phone and the car kit.
That's right.
So it's been a few years.
And how many years have you had that in your ear?
Not for all those, because I had it in the speakerphone in the car.
Oh.
Yeah. Because, Bluetooth hasn't been around that long. Before that, it was wired.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the wire. Get to your cell phone, yep.
Limit children's cell phone use to reduce their exposure to radio frequency radiation at a time when their brains are still developing. I don't know how many children are having cell phones. I know my nieces.
Schools are full of them.
Schools, yep, and they have to have them turn them off. But that's one thing. In the car, use an external antenna mounted outside of the vehicle.
Those, we've seen those things. But how many cars have the external antennas anymore?
You know what? That's a good idea. I always thought that those antennas, that you used them just so... Well, you can get extra reception or better reception.
It gives you a clear reception.
Yeah.
But
now it's also for the frequency. That's a good idea. Keep the phone away from your body when it's not turned on. Like this.
Yeah.
And it says don't clip it to your belt.
Gee, that's got to do more with males than females, I think. It's the same thing as the police officers used to set the radar guns in their lap before they would use it.
Oh, well, okay. Don't set it close to other important bodily parts.
That's right.
I hadn't thought of that. Be wary of cell phone products that claim to be radio frequency shields. Now, I have not heard of that one, but it says they may not work as advertised.
No. Okay. Anything if the product does not come from the manufacturer, don't buy it. It's probably not legitimate.
So you mean if I've got a Motorola, something from there's a lot of good brands.
You can go to the 99-cent store and buy all kinds of peripheral devices for your cell phones. The reason they're there is because they mostly don't work.
The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, requires cell phone makers to report the amount of radio, frequency or energy absorbed from the phone into the user's tissue. This number is called a specific absorption rate, or SAR, and cell phones may vary. Oh, you can go actually to their website, in their SAR value, but cannot exceed 1.6 watts per kilogram of body weight. So I guess if you're a small kid, then, because, the earpiece doesn't know if you're an adult or a little kid.
That's right.
So the little kids, are more susceptible, and their
Like
brains
a person my size is well over 200 pounds has a different rating than you do, who is over 100.
Yep. So check your phone's SCR value at the FCC website, and it's www.fcc.gov.
Or you can ask
Mother
the people that are selling you the cell phone. They've got the answers.
I think they know.
They
Or
would,
maybe
okay.
listed on the earpiece when you buy
It would be listed on the sales material they have, I think. It doesn't mean they'll tell it to you. And okay, they won't volunteer unless you ask. And the rule of thumb, when I was young, I was told that no one ever thought somebody was stupid that asked a question. They only thought people were stupid that didn't ask the question and then had the problem.
Ah, so you see. So when it comes to cell phones and laws, remember, use one, be prudent. Oh gosh, people hate that word, don't they? Be prudent.
Mostly it's just use part of it is common sense.
Yeah.
If you use it, okay, my grandmother used to say everybody was born equal when they were born. You know, you all started out exactly the same in life. It's what happens after that. If, you know, basically, you know, this is for the people that are religious. God gave you a brain, or the Creator gave you a brain, and if you use that brain, you're never going to get into trouble. If you don't use it, you're always going to get into trouble.
Ah. And with that, this is not a spring chick. We're here yesterday and tomorrow.